I wonder, because the roster, the O-line set, the D-line set, the pass rush, the receivers, would Sean Payton draft another quarterback? I'm dead serious. And what I really saw, and I'm sure you saw, two franchise quarterbacks. Bo Nix was pretty special late, but that's what I saw. Bo Nix never gets sacked 5 times all year. And Bo Nix is a way better athlete than anybody wants to admit.
Cowboys lose 44-24, and they are just hot. The offense, 4 touchdown passes from Bo Nix, J.K. Dobbins and R.J. Harvey getting it done.
They've been absolutely unstoppable.
Yes. Oh, first off, I would go, they have the clutch gene. We've seen them be clutch at the end of football games. Their 2 losses are walk-off, losing field goals, right? They got a top 5 running game. And you know Bo Nix and Sean Payton are going to get that passing game. I think Denver is for real.
I mean, Denver averaged 8.7 yards a play. I've been saying this now, John, for 2 months. You can just see Sean Payton here. Watching Bo Nix today, I see what Sean Payton does. Better arm than you think. Really, really athletic. Today, when he threw that ball to Bryant and there was a penalty flag, Nix, it kind of had an Aaron Rodgers feel. Nix is like, I got a play to burn here. Bo Nix throws an absolute seed to get that rookie from Illinois his first touchdown. I was impressed with Denver today. Again, I didn't think it was a fair... I mean, this thing was over really mid-second quarter.
Sorry to interrupt this really awesome video I put together, but can we just take a moment to realize this is just 2 weeks ago. So Colin Cowherd went from this to this.
Would Sean Payton draft another quarterback? I'm dead serious. Bo Nix has regressed badly.
Anyway, back to them praising Bo Nix 2 weeks ago.
See, when it's on, like, if he's throwing well, they could beat anyone in the league on any given week for sure.
Yeah, and blow people out.
Ooh, Bo knows comeback.
He certainly does.
This was tough sledding yesterday. I mean, you know what I think of this Texans defense. This Texans defense, I say it every week, they can almost win games by themselves.
They try.
They do. Yeah. They try. But the Broncos just hang around, stay within 1 score, and then their Bo Nix, who's just got no fear coming down the stretch of a football game. He makes a few plays with his arms and his legs, and all of a sudden they're right back in this thing.
But I think it's established. I think Drake May, Jaden Daniels, and Bo, these are franchise quarterbacks. Last year, against Mahomes and Reed, Spags, Herbert, Khalil Mack, there was a Bosa, there was Justin Herbert. Bo Nix made the playoff. And they're still carrying dead cap money. Bo Nix is a franchise quarterback. I wonder, because the roster, the O-line set, the D-line set, the pass rush, the receivers, would Sean Payton draft another quarterback? I'm dead serious. Bo Nix is not right upstairs. Bo Nix has regressed badly. His completion percentage is now towing that backup quarterback line from 66.5 to 60. His passer rating has plummeted, mid-90s to mid-80s. He's going to have more turnovers this year. Again, he is a significantly worse quarterback this year than last.
If you woke up confused Friday after seeing the entire football world screaming, Bo Nix is a fraud, the Broncos are fake, even hearing some of Bo Nix's biggest fans shouting, Denver might need to draft another quarterback after we literally just beat the Raiders, I'm going to break this down for you and show you how wild the shift is. And I'm also going to show you exactly how fast the media can flip a narrative after one ugly win on a short week, and why you should never let them rewrite games that you've seen with your own eyes. Because the NFL media does this thing where instead of isolating a bad game, they go back and they rewrite old games with context that wasn't applicable when you played them. That may sound confusing, but don't worry, because we are going to break it down. But the NFL media talking heads that do this are lazy, hypocritical, and this is just agenda-driven noise. As the kids on Twitter would say, they don't know ball. Before we tear apart everything that's being said right now about the Broncos and Bo Nix, we first need to zoom out and expose the bigger disease in sports media that made this possible to begin with. The truth is, the difference between a 2-8 team and a 6-4 team isn't much. Until last Sunday, if the Cardinals had scored just 4 more points per game, they would have been 9-0. That includes games against the Seahawks, 49ers, Packers, Colts. Really good teams. All those games were within 4 points. But when a so-called bad team beats a team with a good record, the entire story becomes about the team with a good record. Take the game 2 weeks ago, for example. The Packers are 14.5-point favorites at home against the Panthers. The Panthers walk into Green Bay, control time of possession, run the football effectively, play great red zone defense, and they get the win. What's the headline the next day? What happened to the Packers? What happened? They played an NFL team. That's what happened. A piano didn't fall out of the sky. The Panthers earned it. They played a tough game. They had a good game plan, and they executed. But that's not sexy. That doesn't get clicks. Instead, are the Packers frauds? Is Jordan Love not as good as we thought? Did the Packers make a mistake paying him? Are the Packers in danger of missing the playoffs? These titles, they make you feel something. Could be anger, could be fear, could be doubt. Even if you hate the title and think it's stupid, you're going to read it to expose how dumb it is. And boom, no matter what you feel, you click. Now flip it. When a 6-4 team beats a 9-1 team, the major headlines are always, is the 6-4 team legit? But when it's a 2-8 team, you never hear, the Panthers just prove they belong. And we already established that the difference between a 2-8 team and a 6-4 team, it's not as much as you would think. Same quality opponent, same game, but if the teams have a different record, a totally different narrative. And regarding the parity, the NFL does have more parity this year than in recent memory. The entire design of the NFL is so that any team can beat anyone any day. The media has been very vocal this year regarding the parity within the NFL. So they either don't understand the word parity or they're being purposely deceptive for clicks. The salary cap, the draft order, the scheduling, any given Sunday isn't just a slogan, it's the entire design. But the second a so-called bad team wins, everyone acts shocked. Then the overreactions start in the morning. First Take yells for 15 minutes. Then Colin Cowherd around noon. Nick Wright on First Things First around 3 p.m. Later that evening, it's on every podcast on X. By 3 p.m. on Wednesday, it feels like a fact. One hot take circled the globe, and now we all believe the Packers are cooked. So the next time the Buffalo Bills lose to a 3-win Dolphins team, instead of wondering what happened to the Bills, I would encourage you to see the game for what it was. 2 NFL teams, one that played better. Not a crisis, not a collapse, just NFL football. Let's move on to the dumpster fire we all woke up to on Friday, which was that the Broncos are frauds, and Denver may need to draft another quarterback, all because of one sloppy Thursday night win. Now, people will say that, Kyle, this isn't just about one Thursday night game. And I'm going to show you that it actually is. I have the footage to prove it. I'm going to show you how everyone talked about the Denver Broncos after every win, going back to week 5. And you tell me where the media changed. Spoiler alert, it's not going to be difficult to figure out. Context is everything when it comes to understanding why whatever happened. As it pertains to the Raiders game, Bo Nix and the Broncos hadn't played a Pete Carroll defensive scheme before Thursday night. And boy, it showed. Not only was it a different Raiders scheme, the Broncos had very little time to prepare for it. I personally am not a huge fan of Thursday night football for the players because I know the NFL is a business, but great games, like mistake-limited games with extreme effort on both sides, happen when both teams are physically and mentally prepared. And that just can't happen on Thursday night unless both teams have a bye the week before. We know that Bo Nix wasn't mentally prepared for this game. He relies on great preparation. and there wasn't time for it. He played hesitant football instead of his usual decisive style, and there were a lot of injuries in the game, again, due to a lack of physical and mental preparation. There was just an overall embarrassing output by the Broncos offense and Bo Nix. The Broncos won the game. And if you didn't know that and you just watched whatever sports channel you like on Friday morning, you would have thought the Broncos lost this game. Because the word now is that the Broncos are frauds. And the world is in agreement. But if people are calling the Broncos frauds, what does that make the Chargers and the Colts, who needed walk-off field goals to beat the Broncos? Denver only beat the Jets by 2 points. So what? The Steelers and the Bucks beat the Jets by 2 points. The Panthers beat the Packers in Lambeau. Are the Packers frauds? The Broncos, whom the world's saying is fraudulent, they beat the Eagles in Philly. The Rams, arguably the best offense in the league, scored just 14 points against the Texans defense. We put up 18. The Panthers shut out the Falcons 30-0. And those same Falcons beat the Bills on Monday night. A Bills team who just beat the Chiefs and then lost to the Dolphins. There's enough parity in the NFL to spin any narrative your little heart desires. But here's the contradiction. You can't claim we haven't seen this level of parity in the NFL in recent memory and then turn around and call a team that's won 7 games in a row fraudulent, especially when you are only making that claim by going back and changing the narrative of every win we got. Let me show you how they did that by taking you on a quick journey so you can see for yourself how stupid this really is. It's week 7. We're playing the Giants. We're coming off a London game. We haven't had a bye. Teams coming off international games typically get a bye. We didn't. We flew straight home to play the Giants, who were coming off 10 days of rest after embarrassing the Eagles on Thursday. So the Giants had a significant rest advantage. And yeah, it appeared Denver slept through the first 3 quarters. And now that's what everyone is talking about. That's the highlight about the Giants game after the Raiders game that just happened. But did Bo Nix not become the first quarterback to throw and run for 2 touchdowns in 1 quarter? First ever. Any quarter. He scored 33 points in 1 quarter. That's not garbage time stats. It's a historic comeback.
In an unprecedented comeback that has records breaking all over the place.
Suddenly that doesn't matter. Only that they started slow. Teams have had success in the past against teams coming home from international games without receiving the... Only that they started slow. Teams have had success in the past against teams coming home from international games without receiving the bye. I remember 3 years ago, the Packers were a significant home favorite against the Jets. They came home, didn't have a bye. The Jets ran for 177 yards, and they won 27-10. They blew the Packers out. I remember 2023, the Bills played the Giants, and the Bills had a London game. They came home, didn't get a bye week. Josh Allen, although he was having an MVP level season, led the NFL in total touchdowns and total yards. They were playing a Giants team that everyone would call bad, right? They lost 40-0 week 1 to Dallas, 30-12 to the Niners, 24-3 to Seattle, 31-16 to Miami. So trash team, right? The Giants needed 1 yard to win that game. The Bills ended up winning 14-9 because of an incompletion with 0 seconds left. But this was a dogfight. Nobody called Josh Allen a fraud. And it's worth mentioning that Josh Allen threw 3 picks in 2 of his next 3 games in losses to the Bengals and Broncos. My point is, A, international games are difficult when you don't get a bye week and have to play another team. And B, great quarterbacks go cold. I don't care if you're Mahomes, Josh Allen, whoever. But when it comes to those guys, we don't have a meltdown.
When the Chiefs were winning close games, it was all good, and now it's not.
One bad game, and it's time to draft a new quarterback. I don't see it that way. And if anything, we should hold our superstars to a higher standard, not a lower standard. But after everything Bo Nix has shown since becoming the Broncos' starting quarterback, how can he be one bad performance away from having people on TV advocate for Denver to move on and draft another quarterback? We've seen Bo Nix play at a high level. Amazing throws, the clutch gene, the leadership role, the poise, all the winning we've done since he became a Broncos quarterback. I mean, we were projected to win 5.5 games in 2024 because that's what people thought of Bo Nix. He doubled it, nearly doubled it, 10 wins. We're not even all the way through his second year. He has his team on an 8-game winning streak, and people want to talk about drafting another quarterback? Last year, we compared Bo Nix to Jaden Daniels. This year, we compare Bo Nix to Drake May. But do you notice the common denominator? Bo Nix, the Wolves that would have lined up at the door if Bo Nix played this season anything remotely close to what Jaden Daniels has done when he's played. Bo has all the criticism, and these guys are on a 7-game winning streak. I mean, the Eagles in the Packers game ended in the same score as the Broncos-Raiders game, 10-7, and I didn't hear anybody outside of fantasy football circles talking badly about either quarterback. Definitely nobody calling for their team to draft a new quarterback. How was it that Bo Nix was just one bad performance from everybody on TV acting like Denver needs to move on? Bo Nix and the Broncos need to start faster. If you want to look at the positives, you would say, hey, that guy's got a clutch gene. Bo Nix, when trailing this season, he has a 76.3 adjusted completion percentage, 1,044 total yards, 11 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 101.6 passer rating. Those are his numbers when trailing this season. But that's no longer the story. So now that gets ignored completely because it doesn't fit the new narrative. And this is an example in the most important part of the video. This is where I show you how the media changes. Immediately after the Broncos win over the Raiders, this is what Colin Cowherd said about the Broncos-Chiefs game on Sunday.
So now Kansas City comes up off a bye. I don't care what the number is. Take the Chiefs.
I don't care what the number is. Take the Chiefs. That's what he said 5 days ago. This is what he said yesterday.
I think the game is it is not in my blazing 5. I said, if it was only -3, I think I would take Kansas City. It's 3.5, so it's a stay away for me.
And this is an example in the most important part of the video. This is where I show you how the media changes their big takeaway from our games that happened in September, that happened in October.
They sure as hell don't look like it.
Right.
Though. And if you watch games like the Eagles, the Giants, the Houston Texans, and then obviously the Raiders.
All because of what happened on Thursday. Narrative flipping. I don't know why NFL media talking heads insist on doing this thing where, like I said, instead of isolating a bad performance, we now have to go back and see all these other games differently. We nitpick everything wrong and forget about everything that Bo Nix had to do to put his team on the longest winning streak in the NFL. Now, I'm not saying you take the good and you ignore the faults. I'm saying you take both. You need both. How can you have a logical opinion without both? You can't. But fans in the media, they don't do that. Narrative shifting. Seeing the difference between how the media talked about a win then and how they feel about it now. For instance, I remember the morning waking up after winning the Giants game.
About some bucking mile-high magic. 33-point fourth quarter for Bo Nix as they win 33-32 in an unprecedented comeback that has records breaking all over the place. There's multiple stats that you could pull from. There's one that was like 1,601 or something like that, times with a 18-point lead with 6 minutes left has a team won. Then there was another stat that came. It was like 3,677 losses for any team that have been trailing by 18 plus in the final 6 minutes of the fourth quarter since the 1970 merger.
Bo Nix, the boys, 33 points in a quarter. First quarterback ever to have 2 rushing and 2 passing touchdowns in the same quarter. Just unbelievable grit. We talk about grit all the time. You just fight until the absolute end, and that's what the Broncos did. It's always a fine line between winning and losing in the National Football League. This is something we never seen before. We saw the win probability. We always see that chart. I think this one got up to like 99.8, which is insane. So to get it all the way down there, get it done, unbelievable win for the Broncos.
Bo Nix played incredible in the fourth. It was all the major headlines. He took the game over. 4 touchdowns in 1 quarter. This kid's the real deal. But now, after a bad performance against the Raiders, the Broncos struggled with the 2-8 Giants. That shows how fraudulent Denver is. Seems like the truth. It's an almost truth, but not the truth. Because Jackson Dart didn't start until week 4. The Giants, with Jackson Dart as the starter, they were 2-1. 2 of those wins were against the Chargers and the Eagles. I'm sorry, but that's not ass. The reality is Dart and the Giants came into Denver as a dangerous team, coming off a win where they handled the Eagles on prime time, completely dominated them. The Giants' offense had more success against our defense than any opponent we've played this year. But now, because of the Raiders game, suddenly we forget about the Giants team we played because it doesn't fit the narrative that Denver sucks. It's much easier to pick the low-hanging fruit and just say, look, Denver struggled with the 2-8 Giants and needed a miracle to beat them. It's also worth noting that the Giants have played 3 games since the Denver game. The first game was against Philly, and Scatabo suffered a season-ending injury. That's a big reason the Giants lost to the Eagles. And then the 49ers the following week. And just last Sunday, the Giants were about to beat the Bears in Chicago, but Jackson Dart got a concussion and Russell Wilson came in. That isn't the team we played. The Giants team that choked the fourth quarter away, we didn't play that team. The Giants team that lost to the Bears, they were the Giants team that lost weeks 1, 2, and 3. And that's the reason Jackson Dart started week 4. The Bears were very fortunate that the Giants they faced in the fourth quarter was the 1-3 Giants because it made a comeback look easy. At the end of the day, there's only one right way to evaluate the Giants team that we faced that week. The lazy way is to glance at the record and say, that's a reflection of the caliber of team we faced. But if you want to have a strong opinion, something that involves people losing their jobs, it needs to be rooted in truth, especially when it involves calling for people to lose their job. So the media was hyping up the Giants' win, and the vibes were really good in Denver after that fourth quarter comeback. And really the only story was if Denver could keep that momentum going into the Cowboys game. And if they could, all would be well in Broncos country. All would be perfect in Broncos country because they were on a winning streak at this point. They had beaten the Eagles, the Jets, the Giants. Now they're playing the Cowboys. And it was like, hey, let's see if Denver can play 4 quarters. They did. Week 8, the Broncos got to stay at home, play a Cowboys team after almost a month on the road. They put up over 40 points on Dallas. Now, I'm not saying that's incredible because it's Dallas, but I am saying this. Why would Denver be able to score the second most points against Dallas if Denver had a crappy offense? Wouldn't they have just scored 22 points like the Commanders or Jets? Aren't those teams horrible offenses? And if that's what we are, why the ability to open up the game? The Cowboys have faced other teams this year. Why did Denver score more points than any other opponent the Cowboys faced this year except one? Denver stopped playing starters and ran clock. Denver could have scored 50 if they wanted to. So Denver followed up a 33-point comeback in the fourth quarter with dismantling the Cowboys. RJ Harvey won Offensive Rookie of the Year. Bo Nix, the offense, the defense, everything was blooming. There was nothing to be upset about. The fans, the media, this is the way people were talking about Denver. This was just 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. Nothing remotely close to a debate on whether the Broncos should be considering drafting a new quarterback. We were rolling. The world knew it. The fans knew it. The train was back on the tracks, and we were rolling. So pre-Texans game, week 9, is a significant moment to prove that this meltdown from the media is really just about the Raiders game, because the hype was real and the vibes were high. Going into the Texans game, everything was perfect. The broadcast is showing a graphic of how dominant the team has been in the previous 5 quarters. So now it's time to unpause you, because we've gotten to the point on the schedule where there's only one game in between the Cowboys game and the Raiders game. And I'm showing you the clips of the Cowboys game. The vibes are good. Everybody is happy. So what the hell happened in the Texans game? How are they pouring cold water on this Texans game? Now, everybody wants to go back and say the problem with the Texans game was that CJ Stroud wasn't playing. Now, this is highly confusing. Is the problem with the Broncos the offense or the defense? Because today, everybody's saying our defense is Super Bowl caliber, but it's our offense that's holding us back. But if people, in an attempt to pour cold water on our victory over the Texans, are saying that we shouldn't have beaten the Texans because CJ Stroud got hurt, CJ Stroud would have been going up against our defense. CJ Stroud wasn't playing in the game. That is correct. What does that have to do with Bo Nix and the Broncos going up against the Texans defense? The issue with our Broncos is Bo Nix in the offense. So, I mean, what does CJ Stroud have to do with the Broncos offense versus the Texans defense? It makes no sense at all. It makes no sense. The Texans give up an average of 15 points per game, and the struggling Broncos offense scored 18 points. For those who don't like math, that is 3 more points than the Texans give up on an average Sunday. So, if we're saying the problem is with the offense, Bo Nix, the Broncos, they didn't have a problem against the Texans. Not any more of a problem than every other team in the NFL has against the Texans. The Texans are the best defense in the NFL, arguably. So to go back now and say, yeah, well, you should have scored more points on offense because CJ Stroud got hurt, that doesn't make any fucking sense. Our defense didn't give up any points to the Texans. Like everybody has noted, Davis Mills was the quarterback. Davis Mills didn't run up and down the field against our defense, but don't act like CJ Stroud would have. CJ Stroud, we talked about the Rams game, right? The Rams are one of the best offenses in the league. They scored 14 against the Texans. How many touchdowns did CJ Stroud score against the Rams in that game? 0. CJ Stroud scored 0 touchdowns against the Rams. And now we're going to act like CJ Stroud was going to change everything against a better defense? Does anyone care to even remember that the Texans had 1st and goal from the 1-yard line before CJ Stroud got injured? They kicked a field goal on that drive. Denver didn't run up and down the field against the Texans, just like the Rams didn't and many other teams didn't. Actually, outside of just 2 opponents, Denver scored more points than everyone else that's played the Texans this year. No, I'm sorry, but this idea that because the Broncos played a bad game against the Raiders, that now we have to go back and somehow say, yeah, well, the Texans game, Davis Mills. Okay, so wait, the problem's with our defense then? Of course not. So the problem's with none of it holds any water because it's all bullshit. It's fabricated. It's manufactured. No one's buying this. Actually, that's what's frustrating. People are buying this. But the people that are buying this either don't watch football or they're not really invested in this team. Because here's the deal. The people that are selling these stories, there's a reason they're selling these stories. If anything, the Texans game should have been another nod to Bo Nix. not something we go back, try to manufacture a strike against him. So how did we get here? I think the answer is pretty simple. We are here because of one bad performance against the Raiders. And as much as the media and even our fans have tried to spin this to make it seem like Bo Nix has been the Achilles heel to this team all year, it's not even remotely close to true. And it's actually frustrating to be a part of a fan base that doesn't understand this. I was at the game in Indianapolis when Bo Nix threw 3 touchdown passes in the first half against the Colts. They say Denver can't beat a good football team. They said that shit last year. But when Nix led this team all the way down the field in Arrowhead against the Chiefs, 5 minutes left in the game, converting third down after third down after third down, Kansas City calling a timeout, a second timeout. Oh, Denver got a first down. Okay, Kansas City's burning another timeout. The 2-minute warning. All right, it comes down to this third down. We got to get a stop. Otherwise, Denver's going to be able to just take a knee and drain the clock out. And Bo Nix, rolling out to his right, throws an absolute dart to Cortland Sutton to pick up like 20 yards, put the Broncos in a 35-yard field goal. And Mahomes is just standing there like, oh, shit. There is nothing I can do. The Broncos just took 5 minutes of offense. I mean, I thought I was going to get one more shot. This is a Spags defense in Arrowhead against a team that was, I believe, 10-0. And this rookie just came in and did that shit to us? Yeah. And you know what? Our fucking offensive lineman let us down because of a blocked field goal. Credit to the Chiefs. They exploited a weakness in our special teams. I'm not taking anything away from the Chiefs. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and listen to people like Nick Wright say, who have the Broncos beaten? Like, okay, you're talking about Bo Nix. You're not talking about the Broncos. Who has Bo Nix beaten? Bo Nix has put the Broncos in position to beat everybody. When you talk about that Chargers loss, the Broncos were up multiple possessions with like 5 minutes left. The defense collapsed, getting 15-yard penalties. Herbert ran up and down the field. All of a sudden, our defense couldn't stop a cold. That was the part of the season where Denver hadn't yet turned the corner, where they started winning the close games. It was almost like you could feel they were going to lose. Bo Nix wasn't even on the field. It had nothing to do with him. Nothing at all. We beat the Eagles. I mean, are the Eagles not a legit team? The Colts game, there was a leverage penalty. A leverage penalty that gave the Colts a re-kick. You do understand that the Broncos had the Colts kicking a 61-yard field goal, and it was not even remotely close. One of those where it comes off the foot and everyone goes, oh, besides me. And then 10 seconds later, there's yellow flag on the field. Leverage. What? On a play where we were able to go back, look at every single field goal, and that exact thing is taking place. Look, if it's leverage, it's leverage. But at that moment, I need to see that called on the other field goal. If you're going to call it there, you got to call it on all the other ones. Like, especially if you're going to call it there. If anything, it's backwards. You would call it on like bullshit for first quarter field goals, but like a ticky-tacky thing with the game on the line, putting a 61-yard field goal to a 46-yard field goal, like, you don't do that. That's no one in the stadium could believe it, Bronco fans or Colts fans. But the reality is, like, the Colts beat us because of that walk-off field goal. But if Will Lutz doesn't miss his field goal on the previous drive, Denver attempted like a 35-yard field goal, and Will Lutz, bonk. If he makes that field goal, the Colts can't even kick a field goal to win the game. They have to score a touchdown. So, like, once again, how is that on Nix? How is that on Nix? And he makes that kick, and the Broncos are 9-1. They have the best record in the NFL. The defense doesn't completely collapse against the Chargers. The Broncos are 10-0 right now. And I'm just wondering, if that were the case, would people be talking differently about Bo Nix? I hope the answer is no. We would be talking the same, because that's genuine. Because Bo Nix is not the reason we're not 10-0. You see what I'm saying? So if Denver being 10-0 would in any way change the media's tone on Bo Nix, then they have no idea what's going on. Because it is not because of Bo Nix that we're not 10-0. The Raiders game was an anomaly. I mean, look, we had to play a physical, violent team like the Texans. Still haven't reached a bye. And then the combination of a short week and never played Pete Carroll's scheme. And look, I think it all just caught up to the team. Nix had a terrible game. His footwork was abysmal. His accuracy was alarming. His poise was non-existent. His decisiveness wasn't there. He would be the first to tell you that this was a poor game. But Bo Nix has already shown you that that's not what he does on a weekly basis. We've seen Bo do all these incredible things, which is, and I'm going to end it here. We've seen Bo Nix do all these incredible things, which is why the media turning on him after one bad game is just lazy. I feel like people genuinely take their anger out on the quarterback when the game itself is frustratingly boring. And if you're not careful, you lose the facts. And many on TV lost the plot. This is the perfect spot for Denver to be. Now I'm talking to Denver fans, because this is a bad game and it's being overvalued. And somehow it's like you get the results and effects of a loss without actually losing a game. So the team feels like they lost. They want their respect. And they won last week. It's seriously like the greatest thing that could have happened before Denver plays the Kansas City Chiefs. And let me be perfectly clear. There's zero reason to be surprised when Denver beats Kansas City next week. Unless you as a fan have also lost the plot, and you can figure it out. Does that sound crazy? If it sounds crazy, you lost the plot. There's your test. When I say that, and it sounds crazy, you've lost the plot. Like we've won these games, man. Don't get focused on who they are and forget who we are. How many times do we get so focused on who they are? Oh my God, how are they gonna play us? How are they going to measure up against our defense? How are they going to deal with our crowd noise? How are they going to deal with the pressure of elimination? How are they going to deal with Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper and Zach Allen? How are they going to do with Talanoa Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw? How are they going to deal with Bo Nix, who is almost a guarantee to win the game? It is almost a guarantee. There's an 80% chance that Denver's going to win. And that's just going off this year. And if Denver finds themselves down in this game, there isn't a quarterback in the NFL that has been better this year than Bo Chapman Nix. And I don't even think we'll be down in this game. I love our chances in this game. Now, everyone is overreacting to this Raiders game. The people that are making these comments for the media, in the media, about Bo Nix, they need Bo Nix to fail. I'm not mentioning any names. Nick Wright. Pushing these anti-Bronco narratives to the world as hard as he can. He has a massive self-interest in Denver not being legit. Literally, financial, personal, professionally. He mentioned this on his show.
The only other people watching the Broncos really closely are people that it's their job or gambling on it or have a vested interest in the Broncos not being good. I happen to check all three boxes. I'm gambling on it. I want them to fall back for the Chiefs, and it's my job.
He needs Bo Nix to fail. He will scrape the bottom of the barrel every single week to cling to the belief that Denver beats a team, the opponent stinks. If we beat a playoff team, they didn't show up that day. He's even gone as low as saying we didn't score enough points because the other team lost their quarterback. That doesn't make any sense at all. Whatever. Mark my words. He'll keep doing it every single week, even to the point where he's had to manufacture this nonsense himself, like he usually does. But here's the thing. He's grasping at straws, praying that if he can just keep this fake persona, this I told you so confidence for a couple more weeks, Denver will finally collapse, lose most of their remaining games, and he'll save face. Every week, he keeps Bo Nix anchored at the bottom of his Mahomes mountain, right? Every week, he swears Denver isn't winning the West. I mean, when a team has won 7 in a row, you've got to start saying some outlandish, delusional shit. And just hold on for dear life, hoping and praying that Denver implodes. But let me tell you something. The man is scared. Scared of you, sick, degenerate convicts. And let me tell you something. He should be scared. Because I got news for you. We're going to win this thing. What's it going to be? Are we going to go back inside, call it a day, or get ready for the biggest ass-kicking fiesta? I'll leave it up to you guys. In all reality, these clowns have shoved all of their chips in the middle of the table. And here's the good news. In 3 days, it's all or nothing for Chiefs fans. Hell, for November 17th, the Broncos Chiefs. If Denver wins, the Chiefs' streak of AFC consecutive titles snapped. Every single hot take you've heard this week, cremated. There will be nothing left to say. Those narratives will die on the spot. Impossible to resuscitate. Half the media started entertaining should Denver draft a quarterback. Those same experts will vanish when Denver beats the Chiefs on Sunday. Gone. Mock drafts with quarterbacks to Denver, deleted. Anyone who flips from bench Bo Nix and draft a new quarterback to he's the future because of one win, I don't care who it's against, just prove that they're fickle. They don't watch the tape. They don't know ball. They're just protecting bets, egos, and narratives. Final word is that Bo Nix is going to be here for a long time, cupcakes. Get used to orange and blue nightmares. Your tears will be delicious. And if you watch the Broncos beat the Chiefs and outplay Mahomes on Sunday, and you too want to go on national TV and say, Bo Nix, man, I mean, I don't know what, save it. Because there should be nothing, no matter which team you play, that it can make you want to draft a new quarterback or want to keep your current quarterback. There shouldn't be one game that is worth that much. It shouldn't exist. It did for the Vikings last year. It was the playoff game. How did that work out for them? So go ahead. Talk your shit. We'll see you Sunday.